Welcome to the Desire to Dream podcast. I'm your host, Lo Wilder. The vision of this podcast is to provide tools on how to become successful in your finances, business, leadership development, and much more. A little bit about me: I grew up in the hood, homeless at the age of 14. I made a choice not to become a product of my environment. And today, I am a successful businessman, community leader, and inspirational speaker. It is my desire to encourage and empower you to unlock your greatness. So tune in and enjoy the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Desire to Dream. I'm your host, Lo Wilder. I hope you guys are really enjoying this podcast. Please like and share with your friends, family, and coworkers. If you like what you're seeing, if you have any questions, please reach out to me to my email that is in the description box. Today, man, I have a special guest, brother of mine, man. Got connected with him a few months ago at a conference, and just seeing him doing phenomenal things, just doing excellent stuff in the East Coast, man. But he's national. We're gonna take it international. My brother Nickolas, DeJarnette, man. What's happening, Nick?
What's going on, brother, man? Good to see you, man.
Hey, man, good to see you too, man. It's a pleasure to have you on, my brother. I know, was watching the 120 live stream, and I was like, that's my boy. Like, hey, and you saw you on there, man. So great work, man. It's really an honor to see God blessing you and ET being able to put you on the spotlight and sharing your story, man. So it's just an honor for me to have you on, bro.
Absolutely, totally. It's an honor for myself as well, man. I see you doing big things as well, man. And I know you that guy, man. You've been through it all, been through a lot, and you've really achieved some major goals. So the feeling of respect and admiration is mutual.
Man, appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that, man. Yeah. So for the audience that don't know, they're not connected with ET, Eric Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas, and may have not seen the live stream, tell them a little bit about your stuff, your background. Just phenomenal testimony, bro. Definitely want to dive into it. And then we'll get to and build up to where you are today and the great stuff. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's putting his own conferences together. I mean, my man has created his own table, his own brand with Relentless DRC. But before all of that, let's talk about the humble beginnings and how you got to where you are.
Absolutely. Humble is definitely a euphemism. It's an understatement. So my mother was a prostitute. My father was a pimp. They were both felons, drug addicts, and alcoholics. I spent my entire childhood, suffering a lot, going in and out of foster homes, was homeless, in and out of DYS locker facilities, started going to jail as soon as I was old enough to go at the age of 17. By the time I was 22, I had gotten myself a 15 to 17 year prison sentence with the 15 years was a minimum mandatory sentence, which meant that I couldn't earn good time. I couldn't get, parole or probation. I had to do 15 years day for day. I was raided by one of the first CPAC units, FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals, DEA, and so on and so forth, state police. I got caught with a half a kilo of cocaine. I was charged with attempted murder. I had shot somebody. I was 22 years old.
Wow.
Got caught with a half a kilo of cocaine, ecstasy, amitriptyline, a couple pounds of weed, a gun, and over 300 rounds of ammunition. So I was definitely, with the environment that I grew up in with murderers in my immediate family, my aunt, who went to prison for murder, my older brother who had 2 murders, who was 10 years older than me, my brother who was 2 years older than me. When he was 17, he shot a man in his chest and his neck and all of that. The guy lived, and so he ended up doing 10 to 15 years in prison. He went to prison when he was 17 and got a 10 to 15 year prison sentence. My father and my mother, they just lived a very violent, very reckless life. My dad had got out of prison for something. They put him on parole. He was a pimp. They gave him a female parole officer. He started sleeping with his parole officer, pimping his parole officer, then turned around and shot a man with his parole officer's gun. And her father was a judge. So this was like all over the news back then. And so I just grew up in a life of crime. I was surrounded by it. I remember my dad teaching me as a young kid, like, this is how you fight. And you pick up a brick and you stab and you shoot and you don't let nobody, and I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old when I was being taught these things. But but God. You know what I'm saying? That's
But
what I
God.
say.
Whew.
Man, but God, man. And so God had a completely different direction for my life. By the time I was 22 and caught that sentence, I had already had 15 years going in and out of the system, in and out of the game. And so a lot of times at the age of 22, when individuals end up incarcerated, they may have been in the game for like 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 or 5 years if they started at 17, 18. I was 22 years old. My first crime was in 1988. I was 8 years old,
Wow.
breaking and entering at the age of 8. And so I had been going in and out of the system. And at the age of 22, I had already had 15 years going in and out of the system. And at that point, I raised my hands up to God, man. And I said, God, like, I'm done with this. I need something better. But I didn't
Right.
know anything. I wasn't educated. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I always wanted to do real estate. That was one of the things I look forward to doing. But God just started working on me. So out of that 15-year sentence, I ended up only doing 8 years. I put in motions, I put in appeals. They were all denied. And then one day, the law just changed that
Mm.
applied to my case. It was the Melendez Diaz and George Vasquez case. And basically, it said that if the chemist who tested your drugs didn't actually show up to your trial, you have the right to get a new trial. So I wasn't innocent. They didn't drop the case, but they reopened it. And
Mm.
then them reopened it. Now I'm fighting the case 8 years later, but from the street because they released me by the grace of God. So
Wow.
they released me while I'm fighting the case. I'm fighting the case from the streets for 6 months. I go into court. The DA says they don't want to pursue this case anymore. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we don't want to pursue the
Look
case. I
at
said,
God, man.
what's the reason? And they said we can't find the drugs or the guns or the ammunition. And so by the grace of God, they threw it all out.
Man.
And so God had given me back 7 years of my life. And
Wow.
that's when I started my journey and just pressing really hard. And I was trying my best to serve God while I was incarcerated. When I got out and I was trying to serve God, but I just kept getting encountering all these different obstacles, and I wasn't built a certain way. I wasn't built like I say it now because like I graduated from Boston University, and so it's one of the top 20 colleges in the nation. But and I obviously built up companies and so on and so forth. But originally, like I wasn't built like that, and so that's really my message to the world of relentless living. As you can see here in the conference that we have, create a relationship. But Eric Thomas is the one who made me believe that somebody regular or somebody ordinary or even somebody less than, because that's how I viewed myself, somebody less than can accomplish great things. And that's when I started learning things. It didn't matter if you had average will, but phenomenal will.
Mm-hmm.
Average skill, but phenomenal will. And things like that, and that you didn't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be magna cum laude or summa cum laude. If I get to the spot before you get to the spot, if I work hard enough, and so that was a lot of the things. And that was really the first thing I had to believe. And so I believe, like, I can do much better than what I'm doing right now. And I can achieve greatness. Like, I don't have to be the smartest. I don't have to have the best background. I don't have to, as long as I don't give up, as long as I work hard, as long as, and so that's really how I had that relentlessness in me since I was a child. And so now I took that relentlessness and I made it brand out.
Wow, 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 man. That's just an amazing, amazing testimony to share with us, brother, man. I mean, you could have easily become a statistic because the odds are against you, right? So being in the system, so you get the second chance in life, and it could have been easily, fall right back into that. And I know it wasn't easy. I know there was still a process that you had to take, because here you are facing this time, and then now God's saying, I'm giving you this time back. What was it that allowed you, was it your relationship with God? Did you have a mentor? Did you have someone who you were able to say, hey, look, I want a new life. This is my new chapter in my life, and I need help, or I need, encouragement. I need accountability, right? Was there someone, like, what was it that kept you in line, and making sure that you didn't go back to that lifestyle? Because honestly, it would have been easy for you to just go back. There wasn't nobody really holding you accountable as far as family. So who was it, or what was it that kind of kept you to say, you know what, I'm good. I'm gonna stay this route.
It was completely God. It was completely God, and obviously, like I said, God puts men in our lives. But it was God. My grandmother used to bring us to church. And then throughout my life, like God would do random things when I was a little kid or when I was homeless or when I was out on the streets or whatever. God would do things to show me like he was real. And that he had a calling over my life. And there were people when I would go to church, like people would pull me out and they would prophesy over me. They'd be like, yo, this kid, he's going to do great things and he's going to do things for God and all that. And so that always stuck with me. So when I was 22 years old and they were threatening me with 30 to 40 years, I'm like, okay, God, like I get it now. Like, okay, I'm yours. And so for those 8 years that I was incarcerated, that's when I really got, I fell so much in love with God. I started, ministering to brothers who were incarcerated. I done got in the middle of gang fights, and people, put their knives away just because they see my walk with God. Another individual who was one of the head leaders of the Latin King or a chapter of the Latin Kings. He was about to get into a cabin or whatever else. Long story short, he denounced his gang and gave his life to Christ. So God was using me in prison. God was using me in prison, but I'm not gonna say I walked that perfect walk because I still had a lot of street in me. And so I tried my best to walk that perfect walk, and people seen that and people respected that. Everybody from the inmates to even the officers. But there were a few times, you're in prison and people test you, and so there were some times I had to say, hey, listen, homie, like, it's not going down.
Yeah, no, I ain't the one, and I'm definitely not the two.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Word.
So it was completely God. But then when I got out, again it was all God. But I had these struggles. And it wasn't until like I just really cried back out. It was 4 years ago where I really cried back out to God and I was like, listen, God, I just want what you want for my life. Like I don't want nothing else. And so I'm talking about because I ended up I was living so reckless. I felt I had backslid so bad that I was like, I just want what you want. So I like deleted all these women out of my phone and then blocked them all first and deleted them. I just closed in. I said, God, it's just me and you. And so I like cut everything out of my life. I said, I give you, my body as a living sacrifice, And so and it wasn't until I did that, like God dropped Eric Thomas in my life. I started following him. And then I used to go to my church in Boston. It's the largest church in Boston, Jubilee Church. They had morning prayer every morning at 6 a.m. So I'd be praying, wake up 3 in the morning and doing my thing, praying with God, and then do some office work, and then go to morning prayer every morning. That's where I met my wife. And so every morning, she's a teacher, and every morning I see this woman. She was one of the people who was in morning prayer. So that's how I met my wife, and we had a beautiful little girl, and God has been blessing me. And it's crazy. I say that to inspire people, man, relentless living and when your heart is in the right place. And I talk about having a willing spirit to honor God. And the reason why I bring that up is because people think like, okay, I have to change my life first before God is going to completely bless me, or I have to be doing perfect for such a long period of time because I messed up so much in the past. It's going to be a while before I get this miracle, or a while. And it's not like that. Like when God sees that your spirit, you have a willing spirit and your spirit is in line with him. Like I'm telling you, the blessings just kept pouring. I couldn't keep up with the blessings. It was hard to manage. Being from the hood, I got a passport for the first time. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy to me. Just having a passport was crazy to me.
Right.
I was shook on our honeymoon, like they were gonna stop me at any minute, like, hey, you can't
You're
cross
not
the
allowed.
border.
Yeah, you can't come out. Yeah.
Yeah. So just having an amazing wedding and having a honeymoon and then going, being out on a cruise and all these things were blowing my mind. On top of what God was doing to build my companies and build my finances and help me build legacy and all these other things, that God had was doing in my life, and it was a lot. It was a lot, and it still is.
Man, powerful testimony, bro. Powerful testimony.
Thank
So
you.
you come out there, you got the skill set, obviously, selling dope. But look, my background, my mom was a drug dealer. My family, it was like the family business, man. So, I did my thing too. Never got caught. Thank God he showed grace and mercy on my life. And I'm not proud of that, but there's a skill set that I had, which was to be, I call myself the corporate hustler, right? So I got into the corporate arena and started applying the skill sets that I gained in the streets into real life. You was able to take that same hustle and turn it into entrepreneurship. So I want to talk about that because you started out humble with the two trucks. You were sharing your story, man. I started out with 2 trucks. I had 3. One I was fixing up. with a lawn care business, and then you was able to start other businesses, get into real estate. So right now, you're killing the game with as a serial entrepreneur. So once you shifted gears and now here you are, you got your life back, God put you on this path, but then you started this business and you have this business mindset. For those that are listening to this podcast, desire to dream, right? They have a dream to become business owners, to be entrepreneurs. They don't want to work the 9 to 5. What type of mindset and what type of actions you have to take so that you can have a thriving business, because you had one where you were struggling, but then now you've taken that business to the next level.
Yeah. So one of the things that Eric Thomas taught me with his message is like, okay, we got 24 hours in a day, and you over here playing video games with it, right? And so I didn't play video games, but I would like be on Netflix and watching series and all that other stuff. And so what that really just taught me was like, you can do better with the time that you have. And if you already know, if you're not the smartest, you already know that you're not summa cum laude, magna cum laude, you already know that your skill is average. So in order for you to achieve your dreams, like, you got to have phenomenal will. And so that was big for me, because it was like, use your time wisely. When I was even though I had started my business, the first business, the landscaping company, almost 10 years ago, yes, I was making money, but I was living recklessly. I was spending my time recklessly. I was spending my money recklessly. And so tapping into Eric Thomas, and TD Jakes, and only choosing to surround myself with better than me. I told myself that in prison. I said, I'm only going to surround myself with people that are better than me, specifically in the area of my life that I want to improve in the most. So like, if I'm going to the gym, like, my workout partner is going to be somebody who's more physically fit than me. If I'm in church, my prayer partner is going to be somebody who's more spiritual than me. If I'm in school, when I was in Boston University, my study partner was somebody who's more educated than me. He grew up with parents who were paid. He went to private school. My man would write an essay in the hour before. I'd work on my essay for 2 weeks.
Right.
He'd write his an hour before class was due, and he'd ace it. And so I made it. A lot of times when we see people who are better than us, and when I say we, I'm just talking about humans. Sometimes it makes us feel inferior. Sometimes we start hating on them. Sometimes the way I live, like, I don't have no time to hate. I love to see people succeed. And I want to ask you, how did you do that? Tell me. I want to learn from you. And so if you don't have a teachable spirit, man, that you're in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Hating on people and whatever like that. I don't even know how to hate. It's like I'm too busy. Like, okay, word, you did that. So how did you do that?
Word.
And so that's just that those things were big for me in regards to the turnaround. And again, I have to give all the credit to God, because I needed God to really help me stay grounded. I needed God to help me stay focused. And so that, it's a combination of a few different things, but really that grind, working really hard. And then the next thing is, I started investing myself to get information. So I would go to ET conferences. I would see what ET was talking about. Then ET introduced us to Jamal King. Now, Jamal King, literally, like, I say it as a metaphor, like, he renovated my mind, because he renovates buildings, but I say he renovated my mind. He changed the way I think about finances. And so now, like, I'm from the hood. So I never thought about trust funds. I never thought about life insurance.
Right.
I never thought about, a lot of things.
We thought that we always thought those were schemes, man. I remember with somebody trying to sell me life insurance. I'm like, man, he's scheming on me. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so one of the things is, investing in yourself. Another thing is getting yourself the right information. The reason why, like, if I would have known the things that I know today many years ago, I'd have been a billionaire right now. I'd have been, and so it's about getting yourself in the right environment, getting yourself in the building, getting yourself around people who are better than you, getting yourself around information. And so I was always seeking out. I know that I didn't want to cut grass my whole life. Although I did, turn just cutting grass alone into a 6-figure business very quickly. Within a matter of, I said, when I started 10 years ago, I was probably in a 6-figure club, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 4, 5 years into doing that. But again, I wasn't in the best place up here.
Right.
So
Wasn't a good
because of that,
steward with the money.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
And so yeah, man. So that's the best way I could really, answer that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good, man. Bro. So serial entrepreneur. I mean, you got how many businesses you're managing now?
Seven, seven.
Whoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man, that's a lot of businesses to manage for sure. I know you're doing the real estate, and you're doing that. And I know a lot of friends of mine, they're like, they want to get into real estate, whether they
Yeah.
in the investment side, or even real estate agents. What is something that, you know, you talk about, Jamal, renovating your mind. And so now you have this mindset of creating passive income, learning wholesaling to buy and holds and things like that. What's been some success that worked for you with managing all these different businesses? What part of the real estate have you kind of did? Or is it buy and hold? Are you flipping? Like
Uh,
what's your niche with that?
so I'm doing the buy and holds. The other thing is because I feel like how my life went and the fact that I'm 42 years old, I feel like I'm behind. And so I feel like, had I had no information 10, 20 years ago, I'd be much further along. And so I'm doing the buy and holds. And the reason for that, and even what I'm doing with the buy and holds, like I haven't even been renovating them and fixing them. And then like I haven't even been doing that. I started off buying, this is the direction I'm going because I'm in the process of closing on another 4 unit right now, but
Mm,
it's already renovated. It's already occupied. It's already cash flowing. So as soon as I sign on the dotted line, I'm already, bringing in cash flow, and
right, right.
so yeah, so I'm doing that. And I also know I learned from TD Jakes years ago when he was teaching about business. He said, if you take money out of one pocket and you put it in the other pocket, are you broke? And so I
Mm,
know that when I like I just purchased a 6 unit commercial building in Chicago, and I know that all I really did was take money out of one pocket and put it in the other pocket. My money is still there, and now every month that goes by, where people are paying their rent, is building equity. And so my money is there. I didn't lose nothing, and as long as I'm still hustling, doing the other things that I'm doing with my other businesses, bringing in money, it's another stream of income. And so, and,
mhm.
and it's also positioning for more generational wealth. You
Man,
know,
yeah, that's dope, man. And I want to kill the noise where right now, because people are like, man, interest rates are high. Real estate, man, it's not a good time to invest. Like, what can you tell the people right now to say, like, look, it's not true. It's working. I'm about to buy another unit right now that's going to generate income. Why is there such a negative mindset when it comes to real estate? Because me personally, I think it's individuals who lack the exposure, they lack the knowledge,
yeah, yeah,
and I always said, like, I was defending someone who wanted to buy a house. I said, look, interest rates are high, correct. However, you can always refinance when the interest rates go down. Because let's do the math real quick. If I'm paying for an apartment and it's $2,000 a month, that's 24 grand a year that I'm paying to rent out this house or apartment. If I do that for 5 years, that's 120K. And so 120K that I have no capital, I have no escrow. Like, I just gave somebody else 120 grand. And if you was to buy a home right now, you can always refinance that later, man. So how can we kill that noise, so we can unblock others and freeing them to passive income and to generational wealth?
So, like I said earlier, one of the things is that when you don't have information, so when you don't have information, you don't know what to do or how to do it. Something that you said right now that was very important is like about the interest rates and that they are high. Yes, they're right. The interest rates are high. Um, why would I still say do it? Okay, there are basic reasons. The biggest reasons, like one of the reasons that you just said, in regards to somebody's already spending their money on an apartment. 5 years down the road, you already bought yourself a house, but
Right.
but when you leave, you have nothing. You have absolutely
Nothing.
nothing.
Might
The
get
next
your
thing,
security deposit back. Maybe.
yeah, yeah. And
Maybe.
so exactly. And so, but the other thing um, is with okay, if you're making any type of money, whatever you would put, whatever money of yours is in the bank or whatever you would put as a down payment, whatever else, like it's not doing nothing for you. It's not like why wouldn't you put it in something that's building equity?
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Why, um, if I took the same money, I think I just dropped it was close to $250,000 on this building, and I had to show that to make the purchase, and it was a little over 200K that I dropped on it, and if I took that 200K and I left it in the bank for the next 10 years, like I could do the math, on my phone. I wouldn't even have made $2 grand.
I was gonna say it was probably gonna be like a $1,200.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So why are you putting your money in a place where it's not doing anything for you? It's not doing anything for your family. It's not multiplying.
Yeah.
We can go biblical with this. You know what I mean? The individual gave them talents and said, "Listen, here are your talents. Do something with them." One dude
Buried
doubled
it.
it. The next dude doubled it, but the other dude buried it.
Buried it.
Then he was like, "Yo, you gotta go." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he
And
called
so
him he called him wicked.
yeah, he called them wicked. Yeah, I mean, and so you're not even honoring God when you're not
Which is,
when you're
yeah.
not making the move. And again, it goes back to that concept that I learned when TJ said it like that. I looked at it in an entirely different way. I'm like, okay, he said if I take money out of one pocket and put it in the other pocket, am I broke? And you're not. You know what I'm saying? That money is still there. You know what I mean? You can sell that house, like you said. You can refinance that house, and that money is actually increasing every month that passes by, that the tenants in the building are paying you rent, you're paying your mortgage, you're paying the principal, and so it's just increasing. Your money didn't go nowhere, and so people think they spent money. No, you didn't spend. That's why it's called investing.
Exactly.
And so that's what I would say, man. And then the reason why I would guide them in the direction of real estate is because real estate is proven to be trusted. There's no multimillionaire or billionaire that's not in real estate in some way, shape, or form. It's trusted. You could go try to mess with the stock market. You can go try to mess with Bitcoin. You can go, and I'm not saying that people are not successful with those things, but real estate has been proven for hundreds and hundreds of years. Buying land, you can't go wrong with that.
Right.
So that's why I would encourage it. And like you said, as the market changes, but you don't even need the market to change to be making a profit. Yes, there'll be high interest. Like I don't care about high interest. I make money. And so I what you're telling me I'm going to pay in interest, I already made that 5 other times someplace else. So let's just keep the ball rolling. Let's get this money coming in. As long as the numbers make sense, I'm going for it. So that's my approach.
Right, man. That's good. And it's like an old saying out here in the hood, bro, like scared money don't make money.
There you go.
So if you put your money under a mattress, here's the other problem that you have to understand that we didn't even cover yet is that it's not going to make you money, but you're actually going to lose money because inflation is going to happen every year regardless. So after 10 years, that 200K is not even worth 200K.
There you go.
And so inflation. So listen, you have to really think about how to generate income. My man right here, like my man Nick is killing the game. He's making he's out of 7 figures now with all 7 of his businesses combined collectively with real estate. And you heard it here first. He came out, he was in prison, right? And so if he can change his life, right, first by honoring God and walking in his purpose, and then allowing his gift to make room for him so that he can expand. The other thing I picked up was exposure. The exposure, getting in the room, learning from others, going to these conferences, investment, right? Invest in you, invest in yourself. Man, you just dropped some bars. Like I appreciate you, man, for real.
Thank you.
I just want to let you know, like your story, man, it's inspiring. And I just want to, prophesy in your life right now. I can see great things happening. Like you had this conference, the Relentless Living Conference. Talk a little bit about that, but that your conference is going to keep on happening. You're going to continue to grow, develop, and expand your audience. So I do want to share that, man. But talk about the conference, who you had there, man. What the feedback that you got from your guests and audience.
So the Relentless Living Conference, man, it was amazing. People who I had there were people who are in my circle, people who I look at as individuals, who I've used in my life, people who I said, listen, I'm gonna surround myself with people who are better than me. Some of them had went to prison. Some of them, one of my close friends. I don't even call him a friend. He's my brother. He did 30 years in prison. He was a Marine, and something happened. He fired a warning shot, and he went to prison for that. And so the conference was amazing, but it's really just to promote relentless living. It's not quitting. It's not giving up. It's going in the right direction. It's being relentless about chasing down your dreams. So yeah, it was a great experience. I got to share my testimony. I got to give some information. It was mainly about personal and business development. So I was able to drop some jewels in the community and kind of just like teach our community the things that have been kept from us for many years, the things that I've learned from Jamal King. What's her name? I don't even want to say it now because if I screw it up. But this the people, Terry Cowser, I was going to say Terry Cowser, Nathan, is it Nathan Majors, who taught us about life insurance, stuff like that. So yeah, man, just information that I've learned that I would have never done before if I wasn't exposed to that information. And so I was able to expose them to some of that information. And just let them know that there are other ways, there are options out here. If we get that information, there's nothing that can stop us. And so I threw this event for the community. We're going to be touring all over the U.S. with the Relentless Living conferences in multiple different states.
And come to Atlanta, bro. Come to Atlanta.
Absolutely. You already know. So yeah, man. So and it was something, it was something that I wanted to do to give back. I didn't charge people for the conference. It was free. I paid for everything totally out of pocket. It was a great time. We had lunch. We were able to fellowship. People were able to network and meet each other. Gave out some free memberships to the Crop Center, the facility where we held it at. It was just awesome. It's a community center. Salvation Army Range Own Crop Corps Community Center. So shout out to them for allowing us to have that space and be able to do the conference there. But yeah, man, relentless living, man. I learned years ago. It's crazy because when you called me, my uncle, who played a major role in me coming up with this relentless living, to say, you know what, I know that I can do amazing things.
Right.
So when I started believing that I could do amazing things, and I said, okay, what's the next step? How do I do those amazing things? So I started working hard with what I had right in front of me, which was only one company, which was a landscaper company at the time. Started working hard at that one thing. And I said, let me learn more. Let me expose myself. Like you said, exposure. Let me get that information. And so yeah, man, and that's really how all of this came about in a very, very short period of time.
Man, beautiful, man, beautiful and powerful, man, powerful. Definitely wish you nothing but success, man. And before you go, man, I always like to share, or I always ask my guests to share something, one takeaway that will change someone's life, will help them turn a dream into reality. This, one nugget, or even if you want to add a few more pieces of, but one thing that'll help someone take it to their life to the next level.
So I give full credit and I give all the glory to God. When you make that move, when you say, God, I want to take you seriously, and God, I want to see what you can do with my life. That's what I did. I said, when I came out of that dark place, I said, God, I want to see what you can do with my life. Like if I sacrifice my life to you, if I sacrifice my body to you, if I quit. I had backslidden so far. I was in all types of stuff, drinking, marijuana, smoking, pornography, masturbation. I was like lost. And I said, God, I went in my apartment. I poured out every bottle of alcohol, man. And I said, God, I want to see what you can do with my life if I totally surrender to you. So I can't give no knowledge outside of God. And I think there is some superior knowledge that's going to help you get through it. Like God is the one who did it. And then when I said that, that's when God was like, okay, I see your heart is on the right track now. So I got you. You know what I mean? And so you can't fake it with God. And I'm going to leave with this one last thing. I hate to be long-winded, man, but anybody who knows the Bible, anybody who knows the story of Abraham, when God told him to sacrifice Isaac, right? In all reality, nobody knows other than Abraham himself and other than God that Abraham was actually willing to sacrifice Isaac, that he was actually willing to be obedient to God. Nobody knows that. Like if we could sit down with Isaac right now, we could ask
Mm-hmm.
Isaac, and Isaac could be like, yeah, my dad, he put me up on the altar. That's my dad. He ain't really gonna kill me. If we ask the dudes who walked with him to the mountain, he said to them, "Oh, you guys stay right here. Me and the lad will be back." So even they couldn't say like that. He said he was gonna be back, so he really wasn't like the only person who knew that he was willing to be totally obedient to God. The only person who knew that was Abraham himself and God. And so I say that to say it's that willing spirit. If you have that spirit that says, God, I want to be on your page. I want what you want for my life. And that's when Eric Thomas, I was sweeping and cleaning in my house when I was listening to Bizzo, a Christian rapper, and I heard Eric Thomas. And I'm like, oh, I gotta hear him again. So God just flipped that in my life, and then the people, and then the information and the influence. I started following him, and it's a chain reaction. When you get in line with God, it is
Yeah,
a business. So all the glory be to God, man. That's
man.
that's the
Praise
that's that's
God.
a nugget I would give.
Man, praise God, man. Absolutely, man. I give all the glory to God, man. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for him. He definitely
Amen.
spared my life, showed mercy, showed grace.
Yeah,
And I'm blessed now myself, because of
I
him
know.
and open up the doors, man. So it's amazing when two brothers can openly share that here on this podcast and this platform. And man, shout outs to you, bro. I pray that
Thank
God
you.
continues to bless you, give you increase, open 7 more businesses, man. Let's make it
Thank
happen.
you.
And
Thank you
man,
too.
I look forward to seeing you here at the 120 Live in Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely looking forward to that, man. We're going to collaborate, and this is just the beginning. We're going to do a lot more
Absolutely.
collaborations, bro. And
Absolutely.
yeah, man, shout out to you and your queen, your family, man, and God bless you,
Thank you,
brother.
man.
Thank you for being on Desire to Dream podcast.
Absolutely, and thank you to you as well. And man, it's an extreme honor, man, to be here and for you to extend that invite, man. It means the world to me.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, there you have it, folks, man. My brother, Nicky DeJarnette, he is killing the game, man, out in Boston. Serial entrepreneur, millionaire, right? He gives back. He's got a heart of gold, serving the community and helping lift people up, man. So shout out to my brother, Nick. Shout out to you, the dreamer, the person who ain't giving up and saying, I want to turn my dream into reality. And you listen to this podcast, so we hope that it empowered you, inspired you. Go out there and make it happen. It's your boy, Lo. Peace.